Hey, Dr. Mike here. Is it possible to hack your brain for peak performance? You sure can. It's called neurohacking. Stay tuned to learn more with our special guest, Dr. Stephen Tapanes.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. Dr. Crystal, neurohacking.
Oh, yes. I'm ready for it.
Do you need it?
Every day.
No.
Every day
Yeah.
I hope for a hack.
And it's all about, before we get to our guest, Dr. Stephen Tapanes, we're going to, I want to explain the difference because I take a supplement for what? Overall.
General brain health.
Yeah. Right. Anti-aging brain stuff, right?
Right.
That's not what we're talking about today. So I want to make sure that that's clear so people understand this is different. So they want to stick around for this.
Yes.
Yeah. Neurohacking, we have an expert, right?
Yes.
If you're on YouTube, he says yes. The expert has agreed
I hope so.
that he's an expert. Yeah, he is. He's Dr. Stephen Tapanes. He has a PhD in neuroscience. He's a top scientist at Life Extension, where he formulates a lot of products there, brain-based products. And he's been involved with a very extensive protocol that talks about what neurohacking is and how to do that. Dr. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So neurohack, give us your what is it? What are we talking about here?
So kind of like you were saying, we have general brain health supplements, things that just kind of we want to take to stay healthy. But when we think about neurohacking, some people might have heard of biohacking, for example. In this case, we're talking about how to enhance the brain. So how to improve that function using, different dietary strategies, supplements. So as opposed to that general brain health, usually in like a healthy individual, for example, how can we actually go above and beyond and then improve that health so that on a day-to-day basis we have maybe, a college student who can perform better on an exam or, these tired mothers, when they go to work, they can stay.
Mothers.
Yeah.
There's one right there.
Right?
There's one right there.
And so that's kind of the distinction we have between just the general health and this now neurohacking that we've really been focusing on.
Yeah, I think Dr. Stephen brought up tired moms because you have a wife that's a tired mom.
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not helping out enough or something. Weren't you saying that? I'm not
No,
sure.
I don't know about that.
But you know what? Hey, shout out to the tired dads out there too.
Yes,
Oh,
right.
that's-
Yeah,
Where's the
we
recognition?
find that a lot of the gender roles are kind of changing.
We're gonna bring this back now. We're gonna bring this back to neurohacking.
Yes.
Just to be clear, Dr. Stephen, the brain supplement I'm taking is more long term. It's going to keep my brain healthy well into hopefully late in life,
80s,
right?
90s,
Hopefully, that's
hopefully.
live foreverish, right?
Right.
This is different. This is like, hey, I need some help right now. I got a busy week coming up. A busy day coming up. I have to deal with Dr. Crystal today. There's things going on. Like that's kind of what this is
exactly,
about.
absolutely.
So what's the origin of this concept? And is it true that maybe it was developed out of these ambitious individuals in Silicon Valley that are trying to take over the world?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of
Yeah.
it's been around, I would say, informally for a while. It's now becoming more accepted as we get, more data and studies on it. But I would say, you have these people they're up a lot. They're trying to start this business, trying to get things going. And so they're looking for ways to stay, again, at peak performance, right? These young professionals, even sometimes people that maybe they want to open a new business, just start a new job, go down a new career path in life, for example. And so, now I think it's becoming something that's just becoming more popular over time as we're starting to realize that, hey, instead of taking caffeine pills and being up all night, we can do these more natural approaches that can still help us get that boost that we need.
That's what we did, right?
Yeah.
We did the no dose in medical school,
Yeah.
right? Just hardcore caffeine, not healthy.
Hardcore crashing.
Yeah,
too.
just not healthy.
At the end, you're up all night, your heart's beating out of your chest.
And at the end of the day, at some point, you can't even really concentrate.
Right.
I mean, you're doing it to concentrate, yet when it got time for the exam, you're like, "Ooh," I mean, you couldn't even focus,
And
right?
your brain is scrambled.
It wasn't working. Now, your PhD in neuroscience, you focused more like on brain injury, brain.
Yeah,
that was kind
like
of
trauma. Yep.
Yeah, your area. How did you make where did neurohacking come from for you, I guess?
I would say, I've kind of recently taken a different approach to things where a lot of the times, especially in school, we're focusing on disease and trauma, and a lot of the times it's kind of correcting the problem, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's an underappreciation for trying to prevent the problem or just take it, at an earlier stage where we can support our health and do things like, again, hack our brain to just keep that performance up, enhance that performance. And so really, starting with some of my work here at Life Extension, working on the protocol that we have about neurohacking, it's really allowed me to appreciate taking a different approach in healthy individuals as opposed to something where, we're talking more about some sort of disease or an injured state or something like that.
Yeah, and we're not talking about like some chip in your brain either yet, right, Dr. Chris?
But
you were concerned about that.
I don't know. Maybe so. I might be down for that as well. Or if you can just,
I think if it helps.
Occasionally hook me up to some probes and, power up my brain in the morning. Maybe that's the future. But right now, I think we're talking more about doing this with nutritional neurohacking. And so before we kind of zero into this, what exactly are the researchers looking for as it relates to outcomes? Like what are we hoping to happen in the brain?
So, you could think kind of just generally, we're looking at things such as focus, memory, attention, processing speed, for example. So one example of a test I like to give.
That's a key one.
Yeah, one example is, and some people might be familiar with it, is where we give someone a word, such as a colored word, right? So blue, yellow. And for example, at first, blue might be in the color blue. Afterwards, we give them the letter blue, or the word blue, but it's colored in red, and we ask them to say the color. Oh, it's very difficult.
We
If
should
you've
have
never
tested
done it,
Crystal
try
on
it.
Dr.
I've done it
tough.
before.
Yeah.
I've done
I think
it
I've done an
before.
online one. Yeah, they're
It
tough.
is very difficult.
Another interesting one we could test right now if you want
What?
is
Let's do it.
they call it Serial 7. So you pick a
I'm in.
I'm so
I'm
bad
all
at this.
in.
I
Let's
can't
go.
even remember
Yeah.
what your name is.
So
How am I supposed to do? No, I'm
Let's
joking.
go.
We start at a number, and then you have to subtract
Okay, do
7
her.
from
Do
each
me.
number
Okay.
for like maybe, I don't know,
Oh,
5, 10
gosh.
times.
No,
right?
wait.
So let's say you start at like number 96. You have to do minus 7.
So
Wait.
89,
Minus 7.
82,
Wait, what-
And then minus 7 again.
70.
Can you have a calculator?
That would be cheating, but
73? Was that right?
I think it's 75.
82? Oh, I went the wrong
See,
way
it's
with the
difficult,
number.
right?
See, she's already.
It's
Look,
tough.
and you see, I had to close my eyes. Those of you who are listening,
And you're, she
you
needs,
should
she
see
needs some
the
neurohacking.
struggle. If
Doctor-
you're listening and not watching,
Dr. Crystal
the struggle
D.
is real over here.
So, but all this stuff they're measuring, though, is this does it all fall under an umbrella term, executive function? Because you
Ooh.
see that a lot, right? If you just Google neurohacking, you'll see a lot of this idea of executive function stuff. Is that kind of what?
Yeah, that's executive function and cognition are kind of fancy ways of saying, this together, right? So like this attention, this memory, this focus, just kind of put together because we think it's like the executive function of the brain, right? Like
Yeah.
the high function
So it's,
of the brain.
Yeah, so it's not really. That's not a specific term. It's really all
It's kind of
these
like an
other things.
umbrella term.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Now, is it as well? Other terms I've heard is working memory. Do you
Yes.
think
That would be
do we
something. That would
see
be
that's a
neurohacking.
part of the
Yeah.
neurohacking
Yeah,
kind of
that's
spectrum?
I would say that's a big one as well. So working memory is something like, you have a friend gives you a phone number, but you can't write it down. How are you going to remember this like short-term
I just wouldn't
memory
worry about it.
Right? Right? So like you're probably telling yourself, you're like repeating it to yourself nonstop until you get to your phone or to write it down. So this working memory is kind of like what's literally you're working with at this moment.
So let me just, and this is kind of going a little off, but not really. Do you find that society, the use of technology now is making it where these parts of the brain are not being used as often? So now we kind of need some type
of like smartphones and stuff.
smartphones and we have
Calculators.
apps and now we don't know anyone's phone number and we're relying on the computer for spell check, so now we don't even need to know how to spell. Do you find that is crippling us, and which is why maybe
We need
a
some hacking.
lifestyle hack
We need
would
some
be
hacking.
stop relying on the technology?
Yeah, I think in a way it can make
Oh.
people like complacent because you don't really have to think about some of these things. We have things that are just stored in our phones, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, sometimes it's nice to not have to remember a list of phone numbers. I can then devote that energy to doing
But-
things that I find more important. But we
she
do have
makes
a
a point, though, right?
dependence on technology.
When I was your age, or even a little younger, right, we had to memorize. So I had all my family members memorized. I had a couple friends, right, and you could just. I couldn't do that now. I don't even know if I know mine sometimes. It's hard.
It's true, though, and I think also when we think about technology itself, it's, a lot of
He
these
looked at
things-
me a little strange right
He's
there.
like-
You see
I'm
that?
like,
He's like,
that's a little bit too
He's
much.
like, yeah.
No, maybe
you
that's
need a neurologist.
age-related cognitive decline.
Oh, boy.
Well, okay, so now let's zero in on nutritional neurohacking. Are we talking about specific foods or kind of biochemicals, extracts from food? What are we seeing in the research?
So I would say it's a little bit of both. There's studies that look at food in general, but
Okay.
then also when we think about food, we want to know, what is it providing, like the different nutrients, vitamins, minerals. So we also can, look at the individual research-backed nutrients that come from these foods,
Okay.
and they kind of have a dual approach in how they can contribute to neurohacking.
Right. So, okay, I think I see what you're saying. So we use the food as sort of the template, and we know these foods historically or whatever, they're having a good impact on the brain. And then we start taking a deeper dive into what is in the particular foods that may be providing that benefit.
Right.
And
Ramp
then
it up.
that's what
Ramp
we
it up.
research and
Yeah.
see if we can.
Is this part of the? Didn't we do a show on the mind diet? Is this some of those same
Oh.
foods? Do you know? Are you familiar with
Yes,
the mind
yeah.
diet?
So the mind diet is, again, focusing on that's something I would say is more keeping brain health, right? So
Okay,
we
yeah.
kind of do have
Back to the basics.
that
Goes
goes
back
with
to
that
the beginning.
supplement I'm
Exactly.
doing, yeah. Which apparently I need to double the dose or something.
To remember your
according to
phone
Dr.
number.
Steven. Okay, so but before we get into those specifics, one of the things I have a point here.
Okay.
It came from our social media team.
Okay.
And they were interested in, because a lot of people are asking, is this the same as nootropics?
Oh,
That's another.
yes.
And if it is, like, or if it's not, what's the difference?
So the nootropic is more so talking about the specific substance, right? So let's say, for example, if we have something like blueberries, right? There's studies that show even just eating blueberries
Right, yeah.
will help improve cognition.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have studies where blueberry polyphenols, for example, which is like the active component of these blueberries,
Right,
that would
okay.
be the nootropic aspect.
Okay.
Or maybe something like magnesium. So a more specific
So you're pulling
nutrient
out you're pulling out that antioxidant or a polyphenol they've identified. You're really concentrating it. You're putting it pill form, something like that. That's the nootropic.
Yep,
The
exactly.
blueberry itself, overall, just good for brain.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Good, and it's just good for health in general, right? It's part of these nice healthy diets that we want to, eat to begin with.
All right. So, what are some of these nootropics or some of these things that?
Well, what about foods? Did we say the food? Like what? Like,
Well, yeah, okay,
Like
that's a good-
blueberries.
yeah.
Yeah. What other foods should we be eating?
I would say so similar to like the Mind diet and the Mediterranean diet, things like nuts. If we think about proteins like fatty fish, like salmon is a good one. So just these lean proteins that are
Uh-huh.
healthy. Leafy greens, of course. I think there's a lot of people that don't eat enough leafy greens.
Basic good stuff.
Basic
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
I would say, would you say walnuts the best nut?
I
I
would-
always
No,
think about that
because
because
she
it looks
likes
like,
that.
a brain.
Looks like a
Yeah.
brain.
it
No,
looks
but-
like a brain.
She gets so into that. Come on.
Hey, I don't know if that's coincidental or if it's just a
cool. Oh,
reminder that
please.
it is good for the brain.
A kidney bean looks like a kidney, but it's not good for Is it good for kidneys? Maybe it
I
is.
don't know. It might be.
Maybe that was a bad example. I'm
I
not sure.
know.
Maybe there is something to this.
So walnuts, maybe almonds.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
those-
nuts in general are a good source, especially if we use them to replace just like an unhealthier snack, instead of potato chips, maybe just, grab some nuts and eat those. And like you're
It has
saying,
to be
it's,
salted.
it does. Yeah, I agree
I'm
with
sorry.
that.
Come on, nuts need a little salt. They do.
I agree.
Right? So
A little
the
roasting,
raw
a
ones
little
are
salt,
a little
yeah.
like, God, that's not pleasurable.
I can eat raw pecans or pecans, but
They're not
everything
cans of
else,
peas.
everything else, I need it roasted and a little salt. I
Yeah.
agree.
So Mediterranean based, and
Yeah.
we that's
Olive oil.
we're big into that. We talk about 80% plant based, 20% protein if you're going to eat animal protein. So I think nuts, berries, colorful things, right?
Yeah.
She's the dietitian expert,
Right.
Nutrition expert, and all this. So let's go to the deeper part. Like, okay, that's great, but obviously we need some help.
I know.
The walnuts aren't quite doing it.
They're doing it, but I want something specific.
Yeah. All right. So help us out.
So I mean, we mentioned blueberries, right? One thing was there's actually a study in college students, which I think was interesting, where they took these blueberry polyphenols, and as soon as 90 minutes, they were performing better in different cognitive tests. So that's something that was even so short-term acting that, within an hour and a half, you're now experiencing these benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. And just to clarify, was it blueberry extract or did they serve them blueberries?
So in this case, it was like an extract of the polyphenols, those antioxidants.
Concentrate, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like concentrate. They do have some studies in general, like freeze-dried blueberries where they just throw them in smoothies, just generally improving and enhancing your blueberry intake.
Okay.
As a good source.
But you need. But here, I think this is what the research is showing. If you really want to go to that neurohacking level, right? You need more of those polyphenols. You're not. I mean, the blueberries have them, but I mean, you eat a handful of blueberries. How many of those polyphenols are you really getting?
Yeah, it's
right?
not feasible to really eat the amount of blueberries that you're getting compared to from this supplement or this capsule.
Right. So blueberry extract. What are some of your other favorites for nootropics? I guess
I like magnesium because even though it's pretty well known, magnesium does so much just for cell health in general. In the brain, it's one of the most important
Robson,
minerals.
we were just talking about that.
Yep.
You're gonna increase your magnesium. Okay.
Yep. It's important for nerve cell activation, communication, all these things that
a certain form.
Yes, I was going to get to that. Yes, there's
sorry.
There's a certain
Excuse me.
there's a certain form. So sometimes magnesium in general has trouble, getting into the brain.
Right.
So if it
very
doesn't
true.
get where we want it to get to, how is it going to actually help? But there is a form called magnesium L-threonate, which studies have shown it does easily cross the blood-brain barrier. It gets into the brain, and so it allows it to do what we want it to do, which is enhance our cognition. And there's studies also that support that people that have taken it will perform better on these tests and things like that.
People do ask because we've talked about threonate and stuff before. Is if I take magnesium threonate, does that replace my overall magnesium supplement? Because some people are already taking like a magnesium oxide or a combination of some, but not threonate. Can they add threonate, or do they just need to focus on one or the other?
That's funny because I actually was talking to a family member about that yesterday. But no, you can absolutely add the two forms together.
That's what we say.
When we have the threonate form, it's kind of biasing towards the brain, right? And so when we're taking oxide, citrate, something like that, it's more whole body health and keeping your magnesium levels in check. But since it does have issues getting into the brain compared to threonate, it's still biasing the directions that they're going to, and you can take both. It's not going to be an issue. It's
Okay, so we have blueberry extract. I love the study that you mentioned within 90 minutes.
Yep.
There was
That's pretty good.
improvement.
That's
I
pretty
know.
crazy,
So that's pretty fast. And that's what a lot of people are kind of looking for. You have a day and it's an important day. You have deadlines or whatever the case may be. You have a podcast, Dr. Mike. And
Oh, come
you
on.
Need
These
you
are
need
remember
a
your phone
little
number.
hack.
He won't leave me in that phone number thing alone.
So what else? Are there any other extracts where you're seeing, the research outcomes are, when you read the studies, you said, man, this is good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah. What else is like? What?
So
Bill us a list.
I previously talked about sage extract as one of them, and so that is, another. We all know sage, right? Some people cook with it, and so this extract, burn it.
That's a different sage, right? Burning versus
the burning,
Yes,
the
yes,
sage
versus the
that
cooking.
you're burning is a little bit different than
Okay, so
I
that's-
think the one that's been researched.
And so this, sage extract has shown again, and I think in this case it was within a couple hours that we're then showing these
there you go.
improvements in cognitive tests and all these different batteries of cognitive assessments that these participants are going through. Another interesting one that I actually find to be unique is a mango leaf extract. So we don't really think
Mango
about
leaf.
mango leaves,
Yeah,
right?
no.
I love mangoes,
Yeah.
but when we think about the leaf, it's kind of an afterthought.
Never
And
thought about it.
There's a compound that we've isolated from it, where in this case, the study found that at 30 minutes, 3 hours, and 5 hours, the participants all improved better or had a better score on their different cognitive tests. And this was color, the word color, subtracting the
stuff.
sevens,
Wow.
looking at a group of pictures and then having to write down as many of the pictures that they could remember.
Right,
So
right.
they had these a laundry list of different
Mango
tests that
leaves,
they had
huh?
to go through.
I got a bunch
So
of
for-
mango trees at my house. You guys need some leaves for?
I was just
Maybe.
thinking
Locally
that.
sourced.
Use me
Yeah.
as a source. Yeah.
We cut down our mango tree, Dr. Mike, so I need your. It was dying, so we
Oh,
had
yeah.
to cut it down.
No, I
We're
had-
in South Florida. Those of you who are
yeah,
listening,
yeah,
so there-
having mango trees is normal.
mango
It's not-
trees are
yeah.
everywhere. So I love the trees, but we had to cut ours down. So
Sometimes you
Dr.
got
Mike will provide some mango leaf.
Mango leaves. Yeah.
Leaves for me to make a tea or something, or would I need to kind of
The
zero in on
extract.
the extract?
Yeah,
Oh,
you'd have
come
to, yeah,
on.
it'd have to
Well, you
be the
know me,
extract.
Dr. Mike.
I know. Food should be first, but
Right.
and we laid out some foods, right? That's your
That's true.
foundation.
Yep.
But now, if you want that,
Here
quick
we're looking at a
response-
standardized extract.
Exactly.
So let's bring this all together now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a lot of things we've been talking about here: neurohacking, nootropics, quick effect, all that kind of stuff. What would you like the audience, in summary for you, what would you like the audience to know just about neurohacking in general? Like, what would be your take-home message?
I think the take home is that neurohacking is a strategy we can use that we can, again, improve and enhance this cognition, but it's a sustainable strategy. We're not taking caffeine pills every single day. I mean, if you are, it's probably not a good idea. But we can use these
Probably not.
approaches between nutritional neurohacking, right, the diet, and also the individual ingredients that have been studied to have this more sustainable short and long-term approach to improving our, day-to-day cognitive function.
Nice.
Okay.
Very good. There it is.
I have my
Neurohacking.
list.
Yeah. Neurohacking. And it's simple. It's not crazy stuff, right? I mean, it's
Very true.
simple extracts, good food, right? All of that can be very helpful. Dr. Steven, thanks for joining us
Thank you
today.
for having me.
You graduated from Miami, right?
I did,
So,
University of Miami.
so you
yep.
probably have mango trees. You don't need my leaves.
Yeah, we actually, one of my family members used to have a mango tree, but again, one of the hurricanes took
Oh,
it down.
yeah.
Again, South Florida problems.
There
right?
you go. Right. Hey, if you want to learn more about this, we have a protocol. You were involved with this protocol,
Yes,
right?
yes,
yeah,
I was.
It's called Neurohacking Protocol, but you can find it at lifeextension.com/neurohacking. She's lipping as I'm saying this. Like, she doesn't believe I'm gonna. She thinks I'm gonna mess this up. Lifeextension.com/neurohacking. And listen, don't forget, for more podcasts, you can go to liveforeverish.com. Again, 400 whatever. Join the family. Do the 1-2 punch. Give us your email. Join the family. You'll get some newsletters and some good information from us. And then also subscribe.
Yeah.
Right
Your
there at
favorite
liveforeverish.com. All right.
That's right.
And don't forget, if you download, come on now, like, share, comment, spread the wealth, the joy, right? the
That's
love,
right.
or whatever else you want
And
to
you
say.
can listen to our podcast on YouTube as well.
That's
Life
right. You can
Extension,
watch.
YouTube.com/Life Extension Wellness.
Yeah, you can see all of our weird expressions as we're going. There they are right there. All right, that's all. Liveforeverish.com. I'm Dr. Mike. Thanks for listening.